I would say, I'll start with personally, I would say that Cirque has really just kind of opened my eyes in terms of not putting yourself in a box. So what I mean by that is when I was a gymnast, it was like, oh yeah, by the time I'm 18, my elite career is over. I'm gonna go do 4 years in NCAAs and then I'm done gymnastics. Like that's just the end point, period. Whereas in Cirque, it's already like, oh my gosh, you're still like I still get messages from old teammates or gymnasts and they're like, you're still doing flips? Like, how are you doing this? How is your body able to do this? And I also have been working with people and artists and performers who are in their 40s. So it's really just pushing that whole idea of ageism and that, like, oh, I'm too old to do that. And it's like, no, really? If you take care of yourself and you like become smarter, train smarter, you really can just continue doing it, right? And it's all about like how much commitment do you want to do? Like I remember when I first joined CERT after shows, I wouldn't stretch after. I would just like, okay, go home, take off the makeup, blah blah blah. But throughout the years, I realized, hey, if I take like 15 minutes after a show to actually stay and stretch, I felt so much better the next day, right? So it's just taking that moment to like really make sure that you're taking all the precautions. And I would make sure I would take, of course, take those massages. Massages were never hard to fill those slots, right? But like Pilates, I would make sure I was signing up 2, 3 times a week as well. And doing ankle classes, doing everything to make sure my body was like at its optimal state. So yeah, I would say like in terms of that, just like opening your perception and not just being so closed-minded about things. And then professionally as well, like I really was able to kind of see, because as I said on tour, there's 120 of us, but we're not all just artists and acrobats, right? So you really get exposure to all these different types of industries and career paths that you can do after Cirque. And Cirque was really great because they actually had this cross department training program for artists. So you can take advantage of like, hey, kind of doing like an internship with someone else who's in a different profession because they realize, yeah, you may not be able to be an acrobat the whole for your whole life, but afterwards you still have all this experience with the company and we want to help facilitate that and transfer that to something else. So I took advantage of that and got to shadow our publicist who was on tour and really start to like kind of explore the world of public relations. And because of that, I ended up taking a sabbatical and working with some of the publicists on some of the other tours. Like at the time, we were in South America with my show, and then I took the sabbatical and I worked over in London at the Royal Albert Hall. I worked in shadowed a bit in Paris and shadowed a bit in Miami as well with different shows. So it was just really cool to like see all the different aspects of that side of it. And that, yeah, that really like inspired me and sparked me to want to do this as a career. So, um, yeah, fast forward to pandemic times, and I ended up doing like a certificate program in public relations in the fall with Simon Fraser University here in Vancouver. And now I'm working for a PR agency here in Vancouver. So it's like really cool how that seed kind of planted a few years ago and came to fruition during the pandemic.